And that is reduce the number of credits, more opportunities for outside work rather than the classroom work in terms of small projects, mini projects, internships, working in teams, maybe going to a rural area, finding out the challenges there and trying to find solutions, become problem solvers. I think variety of opportunities given through the curricula are to be implemented. That is the spirit behind that. But the actual content may be different, based on the region where you are located, based on the type of industries that are there in your neighborhood. You can certainly have some 4 or 5 different courses than what is subjected to that in that particular curriculum. And for that, the local industry will help you in doing that curriculum development. And again, here the social media has a role to play, because we cannot probably invite all possible type of industries in those meetings. If the meetings are held with only 10 or 12 people, so why not invite suggestions on the social media? You can float a requirement that we are going to revise our curricula in mechanical, electronics, computer management, architecture and so on. We want inputs from the industry, and then collect that. Someone will study that and then place it before the committee, and then you get a distilled view. Amrut will come. Amrut, this is when you have the Manthan, you will get the Amrut. So this Amrut can be probably given to our students in the form of curriculum. The second important objective should be then, how do we do the teaching learning process with that curriculum? So maybe curriculum is upgraded, but the ones who are teaching, they are from the older era, passed out in the 80s and 90s, who have hardly any knowledge about what is happening today in the industry. And therefore, our teachers being trained in those subjects is important. And that is where variety of digital media, social media will come in handy. I was very happy that Rahul talked about this 10,000 teachers being trained. I think something similar has been already done by IITs. You should take a leaf out of their experience. One of the pioneers is IIT Bombay and IIT Kharagpur. And all of you are aware that there was a program first called as T1KT, training 1,000 teachers at a time. And it was followed up by T10KT. And the author of that is Professor Deepak Pathak. I think every one of you must be aware, Deepak Pathak is a very well-known computer science professor from IIT Bombay. Very, I don't know, a few months ago he retired, but he's continuing action in terms of different ways. So he was the author for this T10KT. Very simple mechanism. We want to train 10,000 teachers. We can't bring them into a big, large auditorium or a football playground and give 10,000 teachers lectures. Not possible. Must use digital medium, internet. And therefore, what they did was first invite only about 200 faculty members from 200 selected colleges called resource centers. They were resource centers. So one faculty member who is teaching that subject in that college will be called to IIT Bombay. So 200 people can be handled in a small, medium-sized auditorium, and then actually run this whole course full for 1 week. Tell them every, brick and mortar type, everything is taught to the teachers there, including afternoon sessions on the lab classes. And this way it is possible to reach out simultaneously to 10,000 teachers. And if 10,000 is possible, why not 1 lakh? Why not 1 million? I think it's a scalable model and it's possible. So you must take that leap forward and try to have teacher training program in many of the new areas which are developing, whether it is Internet of Things, machine learning, deep learning, robotics. We are all talking about cryptocurrency today. I think several new things which are happening. Our faculty are least aware of those things and they need to be trained. So the teacher training program is one important tool where this internet, through which they used Amruta's A-View platform, but you can use any other platform. So you can use Skype, you can use many other tools which are available, video conferencing tools, and then may be able to reach out simultaneously to large number of faculty members. So this is another use of social media and the digital media for the sake of training of our teachers. Next comes our students. And students have, as I said in the beginning, Facebook, and they have lots of problems. And if there is no way they can air their grievances, it will all remain within. and someday it will boil down into a big agitation on the campuses. And this is what is observed in many universities today, that there are agitations which come up because there is no dialogue between the teachers and the students, between the heads of the institutions and the students. The dialogue is only either by the head of the institution on the first day, on the day of orientation program, the director of the institute or principal of the institute or vice chancellor, whoever it is, addresses students, and then on the day of convocation, again they meet and they receive the certificate. Other than that, there is hardly any interaction between the leader of the institution and the students, and this is what is a real problem and challenge. Now there are two ways of doing. There must be certainly some physical meeting also. So once in a while, by rotation, you call one department at a time, once in a quarter, once in 6 months at least, and have a dialogue, so that students should feel confident in the leadership, that if there is a burning problem, if I talk to our principal or the director, he is going to listen to that and then able to solve the problem. So when we talk about communication skills, we often talk about communication skills in terms of speaking, like this from a podium, communication skills in terms of writing, that is, we have writing abilities in terms of various ways, and then another area is reading, is also a communication skill. You have to read, but most important skill which we have forgotten is listening. So at many times we see the heads of the institution and many of us, principals, HODs, professors, when students try to say something, even before the half sentence is over, we start telling, I know what you want to say, and we start answering him. Probably the fellow wanted to say something else and we don't even give him an opportunity, I think. So listening skills first should be developed by the leader, and then subsequently it should percolate down to faculty members, and then students also will take a leaf out of that and become good listeners. And that is another skill which is very, very significant and important, which is to be given. Now, as I said, sometimes we may contact each other in terms of physical meetings in a hall, but otherwise, the platform which is available, our social media should be effectively used. Why not? Very important initiative which is undertaken by a college or a university, be published through Facebook, on Twitter, so that students instantaneously will get that information and will be able to appreciate that. And if they have some issues with that, and if they don't like it, or if they see that some better change is required, some more transformation is required, their suggestions are also welcome and they will be considered. I think, therefore, social media again can play a very significant role in student connect in a big way, and if that happens, I'm sure that the problems on the campuses can be reduced substantially. The next one, we have a good curriculum, some teaching learning process, we have internet, YouTube. Along with that, as I said, SWAYAM is there with 1500 odd courses, and there are many other opportunities through which, both from private, public sector, several types of new courses, even from companies like Microsoft, Intel, they have their own courses also on the web. People can get that material free of cost, read, understand, challenge, and also share with each other, learn from each other. Peer learning is possible through the social media. So this learning is in a way going on. The next one which I was talking about is, these are all learning theoretical aspects, but ultimately when a student goes into the job market, he needs to really implement practical things, and therefore very, very important hands-on skills are required to be imparted, and some of them could be done again through social media, through the internet, in the form of virtual reality. You can have the video lectures, video experiments which are augmented reality, virtual reality. There can be also possibilities of conducting some experiments remotely and making them to see. But last but not the least, physically going to an industry and doing internship is also important. That is where you really learn hardcore skills that are required for becoming better employable. And if there are any platforms which are available, like Muni, or as I said, D4E in the beginning, wherein there are possibilities of set of internship availabilities from the industry on one side and the interest of the student on the other side, and matchmaking is done. I think then students can really go during summer vacations or during one full semester, as the case may be, and they will get real hardcore practical skill sets of the industry imbibed by them, and their employability levels will improve. And this is the internship opportunity which we must be able to give. The next one which we have undertaken is examination reforms. Examination reforms are equally important because only yesterday, Honorable Minister of HRD, Shri Prakash Javadekar, launched Innovation Cell of MHRD from AICTE headquarters, and this is for the entire country, for all educational institutions. Although it was set up with AICTE and most of the colleges who participated yesterday were technical colleges, it is meant for even arts, commerce, science, management, architecture, any type of college in the country. It is meant for every one of them. The reason is we want to build an innovation ecosystem in this country. This is very important. I would again reflect back that few years ago, about 5 years ago, we were ranked 86th in the International Global Innovation Index as far as India is concerned. And gradually in the 4 years, we went to 81, then 70, then 66, then 60. This year we are ranked 57th. There is a continuous upgradation in terms of the ranking of India in the Global Innovation Index. There are about 130 odd countries participating and we are in the middle now. 57 is little better than middle. But our potential is extremely high. India is a very innovative country by itself because we all are aware of one thing which is Jugaad technology. But Jugaad is for very basic fixing some problem which is there and in an innovative way. But the innovative nature of India is well appreciated because when our people go out to either US or Germany or France or London, Germany and Japan and Australia, they outperform. CEOs of two largest companies are from India. That itself shows that how much innovativeness is there embedded in our DNA, but it was not allowed to be used actually. And one very important thing which AICTE started in the last 2 years is this Smart India Hackathon. We started with getting problem statements from central government departments, throwing them as challenge for our students. 40,000 students participated, they gave solutions. We shortlisted 8,000 odd students in 26 different centers, 36 non-stop hours. Students solved those problems digitally, and this was given as solution to the government departments. 27 of these solutions are actually implemented by the government departments. So who gave the solution? Undergraduate students, second year, third year students. On one side we say that our students are not employable, and these very same students can give solution to the government department. So that was the talent that is there amongst our students. We need to use them. The second one was more interesting. 1 lakh students participated. This time, second edition of Hackathon also had a hardware hackathon, and wonderful hardware problems were solved, and we had several interesting products which have emerged as the proof of concept, and if supported, they will all become startups, and slowly larger companies giving more employment to large number of people. So this is all possible. Within 2 years, if we can achieve that much success, and our ranking can improve in 4 years with some small time tweaking here and there and some initiatives, I'm sure that when there is a national level innovation cell established with a focused strategic planning and then very, very methodical way of infusing innovation at all levels, I'm very happy that we know Atal Innovation Mission of Niti Aayog. There are Atal Tinkering Labs given to more than 2,500 schools, where equipment worth 20 lakh is given to these schools, and they are all asked to experiment. You can jodo todo karo, aise. So isme kya hoga? Students are in a position to start tweaking with that. They are not afraid of anyway new technologies. We are all aware in our own homes, if a new mobile is bought in, to set it right, parents take longer time. You give it to a child of 4th standard, 5th standard, within no time he will set it up and say that, Papa, aise karna hai, waise karna hai. So they are very used to it, and if these 20 lakh worth equipment, available labs, tinkering labs are made available to students, innovation starts from school time. And there are already results coming in within 2 years. There have been innumerable cases where students have come up with excellent solutions. I think this can be taken forward. So this innovation cell has a great mandate. There will be every month some target given, some new ideas given, and each one can experiment in their respective colleges by setting up an innovation club in the respective institutions. And if you do that, I'm sure innovation culture will start growing, and our number from 57 will come to 40s, then 30s, then 20s, and we have certainly to rank within top 10, and we have that capability, and we must come within top 10 maybe in 4 or 5 years now. On one side, we are also talking about some of the universities coming in the top 100, so we should also have, in the innovation also, we should be amongst the top 10. This is very simple. Simple logic is we have 1/6 of the population of the world. So out of the 7.25 population, 1.3 billion population is India. So 1/6 talent must be here. So we must be 1/6 in the rankings anyway. So we should be in fact less than 6 rank in the whole world in everything. And that capability we have, whether it is the Digital India, Make in India, we talk about several missions. And if all of us put in our efforts in the right direction from school days to the high school to college to universities and institutions of excellence, I'm sure the day is not far when we will be able to achieve this significantly and we will be able to reach that goal. Now I would like to talk about a couple of more initiatives of the government. So these are the platforms where we should advertise them. We talked about Swayam, there is a separate session, so I will not talk more about it. Each one of us have the flexibility of taking 20% of the courses from Swayam into their curriculum. So if you have 100 credits for your program, 20 credits can be had from the Swayam platform. The course can be done by the student and it can be integrated in your transcript as part of the learning that student has done. This same platform is also available for lifelong learning because technologies are changing rapidly and our students have to be prepared for new things that are coming in after graduating, and therefore they must keep the habit of looking at the Swayam platform and all the YouTube channels, everything that is possible in order to learn all new technologies that are emerging. So this is a very, very important initiative of the government. Then there is National Digital Library, NDL. This is operated from IIT Kharagpur. More than 1.7 crore documents are all free of cost for anyone to view. Searchable PDF format. So if you have some topic of your interest, if you put in keyword, you will get some 100 hits. It is like Google, but the actual documents. So you will have PDF files you can download, you can read, so that library is at your doorsteps. So you don't have to go to a British library or some IIT library or Indian Institute of Science library, but by sitting at home, you have the collection of 1.7 crore documents at your disposal. The next one is National Academic Deposit. I think this is another important thing because there are heads of the institutions and deans, etc. They must immediately put all their documents onto this platform. For the first 2 years, it is free of cost for uploading these documents. 1 year is already lapsed. So this is a warning that please make use of that. Otherwise, all other institutions who have done it, you will have pressure and you will have to pay fee for uploading your documents. So this is free for 1 more year. So all the documents that your students, whoever graduated right from your inception time, some institutes started in 1980s, 1990s, 20 batches, 30 batches, whatever is there, all of those documents, their transcripts and certificates can be uploaded onto this platform, all free of cost, to be available for the student and for the institution anytime. And this is a very important gift to our students. Well, I have found that many students after graduating, they go for job, they change jobs, they change locations, sometime Delhi, sometime New York, sometime back to Paris and then to India, from Bangalore again, and making 5 to 6 changes in their lifetime here and there, and some place they ask for your certificate and he will say that I have lost it somewhere, and then if he has to get a duplicate certificate issued, I have seen students going from pillar to post in the institution. Oh, फिर एक बार NOC लाओ. बोलने वाले हैं, इसलिए एक दो ही क्वेश्चन बताइए. But for any questions to be asked, and I will reply to them.
Sir, one question, in fact, it came up in our our discussion in the morning with few of the administrators here. Now we are up for this whole digital transformation of the entire education system. Now in that there was one very interesting concern saying that with the old structure of university system and affiliation system and stuff like that, unless that is dismantled and rebuilt, how do we really, really expect the results that we desire? With the whole initiative of design, I mean, the initiatives that you have mentioned and some of the institutions they are taking on their own are very interesting. So, any comments on that, sir?
There are two ways of doing it. One is complete disruption and then complete change and everything collapses and then something new emerges. But that has many challenges and problems, and that's why we should always go step by step. So the example of 20% of the credits being allowed to be taken in the MOOCs platform is a first step forward in that direction. Let us experiment that and find out how it goes, then whether 20 can be made 30 or 40, and some of these courses can be done totally online. Can the degrees be given online? Can a student, based on his choice, can decide on small courses, credits, and he compiles them. Like in the bank, you today deposit 1,000 rupees, tomorrow 1,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees, finally it becomes 1 lakh rupees. Similarly, if 160 credits are required for getting an undergraduate degree, you do 10 credits from one university's online course, another university 10 credits, and subsequently when it becomes 160, will there be an authority which will say that, okay, you have now completed this whole program. These are all possibilities of the future. I cannot rule out that, but we should not jump to that immediately, because then there will be such a disruption that industry will also probably not accept it. And then most important thing in all these things is people will learn on their own, but they will not have interacted with their peers. One of the most important things in life is we are human beings. We are not robots. And therefore, there is a necessity of absolute interaction. There must be students playing games on the playground, not on the computer itself. And then there is some here and there scratches happening onto your body. You learn from out of that. You fight sometimes, you argue sometimes. And that is where human angle comes in. And actually, empathy is developed through that. Empathy cannot be developed probably by any type of software tool. And for developing that, many a times you will have to visit villages, you will have to visit some robots like empathy too. We will see in the future. But this is what is necessary, and that's why overnight we should not change. We should step by step go. And if it is not the right direction, we can step back. But otherwise, change will become very difficult. So brick and mortar universities will continue. Many times, faculty members ask this question: if all this is online, our entire job is at risk and danger. But that is not so, because in the new way of development, there is always possibility of interaction in the classes, giving challenging assignments, guiding them through, mentoring them through. So the role of teacher will become slightly different than what
with industry experts according to the disciplines or courses, framing and rolling out the syllabus itself, so that the employability of the students can be increased.
I told this now in our own new curriculum which we have launched. We had experts from industry. We have been advocating that in every board of governors and senate and academic bodies there must be industry representatives. But universities, as they are autonomous in one sense, and it is only the peer pressure. So if 10 universities do that and their students' employability improves far ahead of others, other 100 universities will follow the footsteps. Sometimes in regulation you may do it, but if it is your not heart and mind is into it, only for namesake they will bring someone. So I think this challenge should be from one another. So if X university is doing well because they have incorporated industry representative on their committee, why will start following it automatically?
And sir, on behalf of NHRDN, I would like to offer and assure that wherever you require industry inputs, it will be our privilege to support. And
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing your very, very valuable interventions which you all have taken, and we really feel proud about those interventions. Thank you.
I'm sure there's so much more to discuss, and we do have our tea breaks for that. And we'll have our guests around, so let's not miss out on those opportunities of interaction. I would now like to call upon Professor M.P. Jaiswal for his session here on digital disruption in management education. As you all are aware, he is the director of IIM Sambalpur as of now, and previously he's also been at MDI Gurgaon. And he's been driving social entrepreneurship and various such initiatives in all the places he's worked. So when he has to come here, I need to leave quickly.
Very good morning to all of you. We are Dr. Anil being disrupted across industry, and we all are already using taxi aggregators as one of the best examples where we have seen the emergence of the new service in transport service, where cost has reduced, service has improved, and the new business model has emerged. That's one of the best example of innovations using digital systems. The second one, the digital payment system, which is also being talked about by our honorable prime ministers in a very big way, and that is going to disrupt our entire banking and payment systems in a very significant way, and we are all going to witness, we're already witnessing. Third segment, which we have seen in the e-commerce, and we all have been using Flipkart, Amazon, but if you see the government initiative GEM, I don't know how many of you are using, but we are one of the first IIM to use 99% of our procurement is through GEM, and it has really been a wonderful experience that within few minutes we are placing order and no hassles of any kind of procurement, because procurement has been a major challenge in any government where all kind of issues are there, including corruptions, including getting supply in time. But we are finding one of the best experience of government initiatives at our institute. UID is another big initiative of government which actually is going to be the world's largest digital transformations in the social inclusion field, which the current government has actually launched. And now when we see our regulator AICTE, Dr. Sahasrabudhe and his team, the way they're leading the entire education systems, it used to be a very regulatory kind of work we used to hear earlier, but now the last 2 to 3 years we are seeing that from the front they are bringing change and enabling environment rather than controlling environment. Like even the modern curriculum which they have designed, they are saying it's only a model, you don't have to 100% follow, it's just guidelines. It's so much of freedom they are providing, so much of initiative they are taking. Now National Innovation Sale they have created in AICTE, which now many of the institutions are still talking and they have started. And yesterday I was watching, it's such a fantastic initiative. It's very, very encouraging to be part of such ecosystems in our country. Many other things, like he talked about, our innovation ranking has improved from 86 to 57. Same time, you must have also witnessed last year our ranking in the ease of doing business has flipped. It used to be 136 in the world, and today, last year, it became 103. So 33 points flipped because of various initiatives of the government again. So I think it has been a wonderful Modi 1.0 government which has brought to this country in digital as well as in various other initiatives bringing transparency. I am sure such ecosystems along with the digital systems are going to be a great time for all of us. And now talking about the main area where I was supposed to speak, that how the management education is going to bring about, going to go around change and disruptive innovations. And I would not only talk about what's going to happen, I would say about our own experience, how we are doing it. IIM Sambalpur. So IIM Sambalpur is just 3 years old institute set up by Ministry of HRD. It's part of new IIMs. We call it IIM 3.0 because we are third generation IIM, and most of these IIMs are located in a smaller town. And we have given 3 I's, that's why I call 3.0. One is we are focusing on innovation, that is the first principle. Second, we are focusing on inclusion, like it should be not elite education because IIMs are known more for elite, but we are making mandatory for all our programs that each student in group has to take social projects mandatory. Without this, they cannot graduate from, at least from IIM Sambalpur. And third is integrity. There is no compromise on any kind of unethical activity, including plagiarism by the professors or any kind of cheating. So we are making a very strong policy. We already made a very strong policy on integrity. So 3I, innovation, integrity and inclusiveness. Based on this, we are saying we are the 3.0. And why we are calling? Because we are doing disruptive experimentations in our educations. Like Dr. Sahasrabudhe talked about blended learning and MOOCs, etc. Swayam. What we are doing actually, and this is going to start from September 2018. We have, last 1 year when I joined, a year back, I had a 5-year action plan very clearly defined. The first year was with setting the basic infrastructure required for digital disruptions. So we have made all our classroom completely digitally connected in terms of podium, everything. Like even attendance, we don't use biometrics. We use only photography. Like professor or anybody come, when all the students are sitting, through mobile we take a photograph, and through facial expressions, the attendance are gone to their all the sites, and they can know whether they present or they are absent. Okay. So first year has been making basic infrastructure. We are in the process of implementing learning management system, LMS. And this LMS is actually developed by alums of Stanford graduates, and which is costing us 10 rupees per month per students. And entire thing is on cloud. It covers starting from attendance till the complete grading and online courses, including examinations, midterm, end term, everything. So what we do with this, and this is an experiment, and we started just with our internal faculty because we have a lot of visiting faculty. So we call it, people know about a flipped classroom. So what we are doing is, as part of this LMS system, as we all know, in a traditional classroom, the learning happens in the class and project of the class, like go in home and do project. We have just reversed that. We are saying learning anytime, any place, digitally or physically, but not in class. If it is in class, it just gets recorded, and it is not mandatory the students should come to the class for the class discussion, which includes PPT, which includes cases, which includes all kind of books, reading materials. And we have made our classes small rooms where students can play videos, the YouTube, etc., and they can learn. When the class happens, now is Dr. Sahasrabudhe rightly said that learning cannot all happen only digital. It's a human being, the invention, innovation created by human beings. So this 30 hours class is mandatory, which happens in the class, where the attendance is mandatory, the class is mandatory. And there we discuss only projects, live projects. Either it is given by government, we are taking projects from local hospitals, we are taking from local schools, not necessarily you take a very big, well-known project, but small projects from local industries, from local administrations, from government. And these live projects, which are burning problems, we would like that collaborative, like professor along with students and also industry person if required, to discuss in the class and try to solve the problems. The problem solving skills, and for that we are saying that professors, based on their research, will provide tools and techniques. The gurus are supposed to provide tools and techniques, how to solve the problem. So one of the methodology which we are widely using is design thinking. In design thinking, the first step is empathy. Like you'll have to bring your thought process along with the problems whom you are going to solve. If you're solving the problem of a farmer, you have to become farmer yourself and try to understand from his context. Or if you're solving the problem in a hospital, you become a client of the hospital or a doctor of the hospital or the administrator of the hospital and try to see and simulate yourself that how can you understand the problem. And then the second step is you try to create some kind of ideation. First is define the problem and then ideation. Once you are able to define, there can be many ways to define the problems. So multiple definitions are created in the class, and that's why then we do some kind of competition among the students, and which are the best idea, we award them the A plus grade and A minus grade and like that. So we are trying to create a competitive environment in the class through problem solving approach. So design thinking is one of the methodology, but there are many other methodology which professors are supposed to bring in the class, so that students become more structured, analytical in their thought process and become a live project solving inside the class. Now the biggest challenge which we all are going to face in coming times, like right now we are in the offline class where we can photocopy materials, cases from Harvard, and otherwise too expensive for every B schools to actually get it. We are spending more than 1.5 crore paying only to Harvard cases. And if you move to online, like for the flipped classroom, how are you going to subscribe, because number of students might be more there. Therefore, there will be copyright problem, there will be many issues. And therefore, the traditional method of sourcing material from Harvard or from any overseas market is going to be a challenge. And that's why I appreciate of AICTE that they're creating a platform where, and we are also doing the same thing, like all these problems which are discussed in the classroom, we are saying this becomes the real life material, and we digitize this, keep free of cost access to all other B schools, so that don't have to go all the time to Harvard to buy crores of rupees material which they cannot afford. So these are going to feed to all the B schools, and we are going to actually publish it, and we are working on this, that how are we going to publish. We want a high quality material as good as like what is available in the market where we are spending crores of rupees, so that we are creating some kind of advisory board or editorial board which will edit and say that these are the cases which we are discussing in class can be accessed free of cost, so that entire country, or not only entire country, entire world, somewhere we have to take lead that we create content which are accessible free of cost across the world. And that's why it's going to help us in branding as well. It's not only just we are going to creating content, but also it is going to create, yes, in every page it will be written I am Sambalpur, so that at least we are going to create our own brand. Now when we are doing this, there are going to be a lot of challenge. One of the challenges that the faculty members are finding little difficult to provide all their PPTs and cases and everything easily available, and then they are left with nothing in the class, because these things they can discuss anytime and then they learn. But they are saying that what will you do in the class for another 30 hours? And we are saying that that is actually a research platform, because right now what happens, our research policy is such that unless you publish in class A journal you will not get promotion, and these class A journals are very critical. Hardly we use those research in the class. So we are also giving some incentives for publishing this classroom real life problem based materials equivalent to some at least B class journals, so that they are encouraged to publish their own, and they are not left out in the international competition where only Thomson Reuters Impact or only ABDC kind of journals they publish. That is separate, that we are not touching, that policy is already there, that you get ABDC. But we also need a lot of contents, and we are awarding that also. So this way, then faculty members are getting a lot of attractions, because they are suppose they are teaching 4 courses in a year, at least they will be able to publish 6 to 7 projects in their name. And you must remember how the balanced scorecard, the research was created. This was also part of the Harvard classroom discussion where Professor Robert Kaplan gave the problem how to measure performance. And everybody is knowing performance management is only financial. And he's saying, you have to think innovative. Means other than finance, how do you analyze the company's performance? And the different projects were given in the class, and different students came out with different solutions. Somebody said, no, I can measure from customer's angle, I can measure from knowledge creations, IPR, I can from supplier relations, and that's why 4 pillars of balanced scorecard came, and Robert Kaplan published his article, and he's a world authority now in the performance measurement, and whole world is using. That's how it's not a very high level critical research, but real life problems in classroom where he is able to convert a world class research project, a world class research publication, which is widely used by all across in the world, and he is getting royalty out of that. So we want this kind of publication also to come from the class, while solving the real life problems using a structured methodology like this. And ladies and gentlemen, therefore, what I feel it's a great time for, at least I can see myself, we have given a 5 years action plan. The first year was for setting up the basic digital as well as physical infrastructure to run the flipped classroom. The second year, because second year we are calling now this year, 2018-19, we are calling as a year of innovation. And I'm glad that AICTE has already created innovation sale, which is going to start its utter ranking of institutions, academic institutions on innovations area, which is going to start, I think, October 2018. They will start ranking. And it is, this is where the innovations ranking is going to happen. And innovation ranking does include what kind of innovation you're doing in the classroom, what kind of innovation you're doing in the research, what kind of innovation you're doing in the institutions. And therefore, we may not be able to compete in research publication because we don't have that much strength in terms of number of faculty members. But definitely in the innovation, a small institution can also come forward and say, okay, we are ranked best in innovations. And so we have declared 2018-19 is the innovation year at our institute, where flipped classroom is the first step, and publications through live project in the class is second steps, and so many other things where we are going to do along with industry thing. Next year we have declared, that is the 2019 and 20 is a year of disruptive innovation, where we are going to change not only the classroom, but we are also going to, now you must be knowing that we are thankful to our government where IAM Act 2018 has been passed, which has given a tremendous amount of freedom to all IAM at least, and also AICTE is working to give freedom to a lot of other institutions, where autonomy is given, where you decide yourself. And one of the meeting, which was chaired by our Honorable Minister of HRD, some of the directors of IAM are saying, sir, this will have this problem. He's saying, we are giving so much freedom and autonomy, please go ahead and experiment. Because as we have seen, ease of doing business, we have improved from 136 to 103. And in our innovation ranking, we have improved from 86 to 57. I'm sure we also need to improve the ranking of our institution, which is now nowhere under top 200, and let at least get into 100 to begin with, and keep on improving. And for that, autonomy and freedom and innovation in the institutions is very, very critical. So second year, we are going for disruptive innovation, where we might set up our campus other than our own locations, and say that we can, because that freedom has been given by IAM Act, that any IAM can set up their campus anywhere in the world, so that you compete in the global market. So that kind of disruptive innovation will be experimenting in the next year. And third year, that is 2020-21, we are going for, we have declared the year for inclusive innovations, where we will be spreading this model across all other institutions and IAM, so that should not become isolated, in this kind of initiatives. And the last 4 years, because I am director's positions of 5 years, so I have a very clear-cut plan for at least for 5 years, what kind of, but every year is the innovation, whether disruptive, whether inclusive. And I'm sure with this kind of change, and I will invite some of you to visit in the month of October and November, where this first phase must have been already rolled out. And we will be seeing a complete disruption in the classroom, in the institutions, in the remote locations where, we don't have all kind of connectivity, but nobody can stop us from any kind of innovations, because in a digital world, that's what today, if you see ASMA or, a kind of initiative we are doing in social, using social media and using digital media and digital technology, that innovation can happen by small entrepreneurs, by small institutions, anywhere in the world. You don't have to be part of Silicon Valley. You don't have to be part of Bangalore. You don't have to be part of Hyderabad. You can create innovations anywhere if you have very clear-cut understanding about the technology and its use. Because innovation is not about inventing new technology, but it's using the invented technology for commercializations, for the solving problems of socio-economic initiatives of the government or of the industry or of institutions. And therefore, I am very, very hopeful. But this line, we will be able to differentiate and create disruptions, at least in management educations, and we will be then able to call really is IAM 3.0 is different from IAM 1.0 as well as from IAM 2.0. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. A little variation just to make sure we don't miss out on the best moments with the eminent guests. Time now to unveil the ASMA research report, and I would like to invite the project director of ASMA, Mr. Swapnil Jain, Dr. Manpreet Singh Manna, Director AICTE, and Dr. Ravi Kumar Jain, Director SIBM Hyderabad. So that's the effort of the team for all of us to draw from. That looks great. Congratulations, team, for this wonderful report. We all are looking forward to it. Round of applause, it's a great work. Louder, I'm sure. The team deserves more. Yeah, louder. Well done. Mr. Swapnil, we request you to be on the stage. This spotlight is yours. Okay, so we'll now felicitate our eminent guest of honor, Shri Anil Sahasrabudhe at the hands of Dr. Harivansh Chaturvedi. Their presence means a lot for all of us, and we've seen how they have constantly supported the autonomous institutes, private institutes, and we all feel so much stronger with them.
Just one important highlight here. The certificate that we awarded to Sahasrabudhe sir as a token of appreciation is actually a very, very special request by Sahasrabudhe sir about ensuring that we don't give mementos, instead we plant trees. So in the honor of sir's presence today here, we have donated to Karuna Farm for planting 10 trees. And that's how this initiative is growing. Today, we are not having any mementos. To all our dignitaries, to all our guests, we are having certificate of tree plantation in their names. And the farm that we have collaborated with is actually going to issue QR codes so that each 6 months you can see how your tree is growing over the period of time. So that's the kind of initiative, and I would like to thank Sahasrabudhe sir once again on this end.
With Microsoft. I will start with one anecdote from Indian higher education, and my first submission is that India as a country with huge population and big aspirations require now innovation, ideation, experimentation and imagination. An anecdote from a college, an engineering college of India, some students of engineering, they have dreamed of creating a satellite and they have contacted their teachers. They could not get encouragement. Then they met the principal of the college and they requested him that they want to manufacture a satellite from that engineering college. The principal said, "What do you want from me?" The student said, kindly allow us to sit in the computer and mechanical laboratory till midnight. The principal allowed them, and after 4 years, in year 2017, the satellite of College of Engineering Pune was launched from ISRO side, and the principal is sitting with us, ex-principal, former principal, Dr. Anil Sahasrabudhe. This is one example that how encouraging ideation, experimentation, and innovation can do wonders. Social media is also an idea. It is in infancy in higher education. 2 years back, Rahul Jain and his partner Swapnil met me, and they have talked and proposed about holding this ASMA conference. I immediately given my acceptance and my commitment to support it, knowing very well that they are also similar to the students of College of Engineering. If they are encouraged and motivated, they can also launch their satellite and from Shri. Friends, my presentation is on the future of digital and social media in academics, challenges and opportunities for higher education in India. And I would just like to make the initial submission that the context of the future of social media and digital media is Industry 4.0. We are talking a lot about Industry 4.0. And Industry 4.0 is knocking to the industry, Indian industry. And India is currently going to have impact of 3 big changes, interplay of 3 big changes: globalization, demographic changes, and adoption of exponential technologies under Industry 4.0. So, yes, I will just like to make this submission that Industry 4.0 require Education 4.0. We have passed through Education 1.0 based on Guru Shishya Parampara, Education 2.0, which was based on massification of education where teacher was active, student was passive. Education 3.0, when use of computer and internet became very popular, and Industry 4.0, when high-speed internet, mobile tech, thank you, sir, and social media platforms are available. I think the 4.0 time has come, and this is based on personalized learning. Education 4.0 requires that every student will chart out its own path of learning. It is the personalization of the learning process, where the learner has complete flexibility to be the architect of his or her learning path, and has freedom to aspire for approach and achieve personal goals by choice. So right now we are teaching in schools and universities, and Ravi Jain was particularly mentioning that we need to dismantle the structure of Education 1.0, and our chief guest has told him how to go for Education 4.0. So here you can see that Industry 4.0 has both opportunities and challenges. Biggest opportunities that it will lead to increased global income levels. Along with developed countries, India will also see higher income levels. There will be reduction in transportation and communication cost. There will be development of creation of new products and services. There will be creation of new markets. My fellow speakers have given example about the Uber model of transportation and ABN model of hotel accommodation, where without owning assets, companies are doing business across the world. But there are challenges related to the security of the data, privacy. There is possibility of greater inequality in labor markets. There will be decrease in the real income of workers. There will be displacement of workers because of artificial intelligence and machine intelligence. And with these opportunities and challenges, we are going to have the possibility of adopting Education 4.0. Then there are 6 drivers of change brought by Industry 4.0, and I am not devoting time on this point, and I am taking the next point, that is 6 skills of tomorrow. So whatever skills we are providing in university and colleges are going to be replaced by the future skills or the skills required in future. Virtual collaboration, we will have to train our students about virtual collaboration abilities. We will have to train them to take note of cognitive management. We will have to develop computational thinking. We will have to encourage them to develop design mindset, about which Dr. Jaiswal has spoken. We want to create social intelligence so that they are able to sense and stimulate reactions and desired interactions. And lastly, adaptive thinking, that in all kinds of situations they are adaptable and they are able to solve the problems. Then new challenges is to create lifelong learners. Social media will help India's success in Industry 4.0 in one major aspect, that is making people lifelong learners. Industry 4.0 requires that you cannot go to college, take degrees, and the whole life you work in a company. You will be required to update and change your skills every 3rd and 4th year. And I think there will be a requirement, huge requirement, that we encourage our young generation to become lifelong learners. And I have here given the cover photo of a book, interesting book, which I am reading currently, that is Mind Shifts by Dr. Barbara Oakley. The title of the book is Break Through Obstacles to Learn and Discover Your Hidden Potentials. So we need to develop lifelong learning. And drivers of lifelong learning are: telling is not teaching and listening is not learning. We assume that education 2.0, that a teacher is delivering a lecture and students are understanding. I think that this has become totally obsolete. Telling is not teaching and listening is not learning. And learning happens only when the engaged learner is involved in activities of application and working in teams. So only telling is not enough, only listening is not enough. I think experiential learning is the most important during the current era, and we need to tell our students in millennium generation that they have to become learner and they have to control their learning and they have to change their mindset and they have to find out new ways of learning. Next. Google is a company which is following new models of learning, particularly Education 4.0. In corporate sector, each company will find a learning and development department, and Google is an example where Google is an employer talking about what kind of employees they require. So they say in their one of the statement, people look for meaning in their work. So people are not only working for money or compensation or their salary, they are working for meaning. They should enjoy the work. People want to know what's happening in their environment. They are at the time of working in a company, they cannot cut off from whatever is happening in the world. People want to have some ability to shape that environment. They also want to know whatever is company doing for its own business or for the whole world. They want to participate in that thinking of the company. So there are three keywords in the perspective of Google: creativity, passion, and innovation. They want people who are creative, who are passionate, and who believe in innovation. So these are the three keywords for the modern era learners. What kind of employees Google is requiring or expecting? They say that he should be a good coach, he should be a leader empowering the team, he should take interest in member success and their failures, he should be productive and result oriented, he should be a good leader, he should develop or he should help others in career development, and he should have a clear vision and strategy which is aligned with the vision and strategy of the company. And lastly, he should also have important technical skills. So I have given this example that how this idea of lifelong learning with creativity, passion and innovation is being implemented by the company, the icon company Google. Now, what digital native learners want, this is very important. We have to understand as a teacher, as a heads of the institution, we have to understand the digital learner what does he or she want. They don't like lectures. As has been said, their attention span is very low. Earlier it has been said that span is 15 to 20 minutes. Now it is going down, and TED, which is a very global a source of learning, they have been recording their lectures, and these are available, very beautiful lectures, but the maximum time limit for any lecture is 15 to 18 minutes. So digital learners want short duration lectures, they want short videos, 3 or 5 minutes videos. So in MOOCs, it is being used that most of the videos will not be more than 5 minutes. They want that they should be respected, trusted and valued. Nobody should disbelieve their capabilities and their knowledge. They want to follow own interest and passions. Along with doing some job in a company, they may be liking some passions. They may be wanting some time to devote to that passion. They want to create, they want to use 21st century tools in their working and in their learning. They want to work with their peer group, and they believe in just enough, just in time learning. And this is the new age digital learners' aspirations and wants. So while teaching them in our schools and universities, we have to be very clear that what kind of learning needs, aspirations and liking are being followed by digital native learners. Next, what is the role of a teacher? And these two photographs depict left side, it is traditional role of a teacher, that you are just filling up the mind of the students with some knowledge capsules, as if they are the Elmira or as if they are a car, and here you can see the attendant of the petrol pump. But this is the role which is changing very fastly. That role of a teacher is not just to make sure content delivery, it is the role of a coach and facilitator. In the second photograph, you can see the football team of France, and this team, the coach is being felicitated in a very unique mode. He has been lifted by all the members after winning the football global tournament of football. So I am crossing the time limit, and I will take the last slide. Can you put the last slide? This is proposed approach for digitalization of education. How to digitalize education, and this we have been implementing in our own institution also, and it is based on the experience of some of the best universities and colleges of the world. This is division of the challenges in higher education between 3 categories. Challenges, number 1 category are solvable challenges, number 2 difficult challenges, number 3 big challenges. So these are the trend challenges and technologies for higher education. Under the solvable category, there are 2: blending formal and informal learning. This is the foremost challenge which can be solved. Second is improving digital literacy. Under the difficult, there are 2. The foremost is personalized learning, to design a method by which every student can learn according to his or her own needs, according to his or her own timing, according to her own or his own place of learning. This is very difficult, it is not easy, and it is also costly. So there are two difficult kind of challenges: personalized learning and teaching, complex thinking, and third is big kind of challenges. So under the short and long term, you cannot deal all the challenges in short term. In short term, you can only solve the increased use of blended learning and redesigning learning spaces. So blending learning is possible in all colleges and universities easily, and also the redesigning of learning spaces. In midterm, you can focus on measuring learning and also proliferating the open educational resources, and in long term, you have to work for advancing culture of change and innovation and increasing cross-institutional collaboration. So social media or digital media cannot be 100% implemented within 1 year or 2 years. You have to develop short-term, mid-term and long-term perspective for it. And I think with the cooperation of all stakeholders in a university and college, it will be possible to adopt social and digital media in higher education. I would like to conclude by giving my blessings to the endeavors of Rahul Jain and Swapnil Jain, the promoters of MFA Digital and ASMA. जमीन पर बैठकर क्यों आसमान देखता है? It is about a bird which is sitting on the earth. जमीन पर बैठकर क्यों आसमान देखता है? परों को खोल, जमाना तेरी उड़ान देखता है. So my best wishes to the organizers. Thank you.
A few things I really wish to highlight, while Sir really blessed us with his words actually. BIMTECH has been a great example of implementation of digital strategies. We are now third year in partnership, and it started with a very small MDP. That's where all the stakeholders came together. They kind of started trying to learn and understand that what digital means to them, what it can work for them. And that's exactly then when we started working together, the digital adoption journey began. And today, third year, as rightly put up by Sir, almost all facets of BIMTECH organization is getting touched through some digital intervention. And a lot more now Sir is bringing, that's how his initiatives are. Thank you so much, Sir. And one more thing, Sir has been a generous supporter to us as always. So this year's research was sponsored by BIMTECH, and we would like to express our sincere gratitude to you, Sir, because without your help it was absolutely difficult to pull a product like this. From last year, this year research has been phenomenally different, and your inputs have been a lot instrumental there, Sir. Thank you, Sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chaturvedi, for that insightful address. And I'm so very proud to be a part of all that. And that was the first time we met when our NKP happened, and I'm gaining a lot certainly, which we'll share over other days. In this whole effort, a lot of people have come together to make this happen, and they have supported ASMA and FMA Digital together, have a big team of people who are driving the same vision. So one of the title partners, Microsoft, and we have Mr. Ashish Gupta here. He will be coming up with his address shortly. I think he'll just set up his presentation. Meanwhile, I'd be happy to introduce to you his topic, since he's talking about, the workplace. So he's talking about transformation in education, urgency or option. And he heads the product marketing for modern workplace consumption and education for Microsoft India. So we're certainly going to gain a lot as academicians from him.
Thank you very much. Let's see if the presentation comes out. There were a few interesting slides I wanted to show to you, otherwise we can have the dialogue. Oh, it's there. Amazing. Can I have the clicker as well, please? Yeah, that's fine. Let's see if it works out. Okay. So first of all, thank you very much, sirs. I think it's a phenomenal input for companies like us as well. Hearing your views, hearing about the innovation that you bring about, the disruptive innovation, all the points that you mentioned about, there were some key ideas I picked up. The gap, the need to have the curriculum versus the job gap somehow filled in. The need to have the right tools and technology as we are ushering into this digital revolution. In this amazing publication as well, I was just browsing through and it said there on page 55 by George Couros, technology is not just a set of tools, it also gives voice to the learners, some kind of voice that they never heard before. Amazing set of ideas all through. We have heard about the impact of social out there in terms of this revolution that's been ushering in. Taking all the thoughts that have been exchanged so far, there are essentially two things that I want to leave all of you with. We have detailed sessions there with Microsoft. I would actually urge you, we have a workshop plan where some of the things that I would mention will be going at depth. We have our booth set up outside to give you a practical hands-on demo. The two things that I want to actually put the thoughts on. First of all, we have heard about the digital transformation. It's happening, there is social. What is really the urgency about it? There have been a status quo that's been being maintained for the last many years, the decades. So why everybody is there like super alarmed? And once we look at this urgency or an option and we decided how to go about it, what could be those right set of tools that help you enable and synthesize this change there for you? So very quickly, we know the world has become a giant network. We're talking about the Twitters, the Facebooks, the LinkedIns. You're talking with your friends, relatives using Facebook, getting all the information out there on Twitter. The next job opportunity we are looking out there in a LinkedIn. We are able to achieve more because we are connected very, in a very inclusive way. The information and knowledge is traveling in a manner which is incomparable to the past years. This digital transformation is actually impacting the way we go about our daily lives, the way we do our jobs. Like even think about the examples, the driverless cars are becoming a reality. In developing countries, for example, in Kenya, 1/3 of the payments are happening there on mobile. So there is transformation all through and it is fundamentally changing the way our young children, our students have access to the information, how they are communicating among each other. But per se, and of course there are these amazing initiatives that's happening in some of the elite institutes, but per se, if you look at the education sector, that transformation has not really penetrated the way it has in some of the other sectors, like we're talking about technological advancements. So I wanted to bring this idea where just the two thoughts, again to recap, I wanted to leave the session with the first one being the urgency around this change, the second being a little bit of a demonstration on the tools and processes we have developed out there in Microsoft. And those tools and processes have actually come from the inputs in these forums, hearing all those elite people, audience like you. A little bit of a story. So I was trying to think, and again, the moot idea is why education transformation is sort of lagging versus the kind of transformation acceleration we see in some of the other sectors. So we were trying to think where this education learning system we have currently came from. You can take any point there in the past, and you may have your views, but if you just look at the way our current institutes, our education system is, it becomes quite apparent. It came in from the 300 years ago, the longest, the largest empire on the planet Earth. Imagine for a moment, and stay with me because I'm going to just connect it back altogether. Imagine for a moment trying to run the entire planet without computers, without internet, without data, without handwritten notes, traveling from continent to continent using ships. The Victorians actually did that. What they did was really amazing. They created a global computer which was made up of people to do all these jobs. Now, to feed this computer, they created another machine which was called the bureaucratic administrative system, which was essentially the schools. So the schools were producing these identical set of people who were feeding this bureaucratic administrative machine to do some identical set of jobs that were required at that time. They needed to have these products, needed to have beautiful handwriting, do some basic arithmetic algebra, and the ability to read and write. What these Victorians did was actually amazing. So it was so identical that if you could even replace one of the products or an output from that bureaucratic administrative machine from a Canada to a New Zealand, the function would keep working flawlessly. Now, it was so fast that despite that need gone, despite that era gone, this machinery has continued to produce those identical set of people in an age where the relevance is not there. And that's where our educational institutes come into the foray. So I'm not saying our educational institutes are broken, and of course you would want to point out that there are many things versus a basic arithmetic, algebra, reading, writing that's being taught there. Absolutely, there has been an evolution. If we actually talk about some of the elite institutes, there's an amazing evolution, but the need of the hour is transformation. Transformation to make sure that somebody, what we describe as a modern student, a student who is being fed out there on social network. Just even if you rewind to 10 years or 15 years back, at a time where knowledge used to be considered a proprietary thing, it was considered power. Data was flowing in a hierarchical manner. Those days are gone. If a student has an idea, there are more than sufficient chances that it would be crowdsourced and would become a kind of reality. These people are fed on social media, these millennials. They are always on, always mobile, always moving, collaborating in a way that was not there just even 10, 15 years. We need to make sure that these students are provided those right sets of tools and technologies that they are able to synthesize everything with regards to what we have in the current setup and get to the desired excellence. Speaking again a little bit on the urgency of the change. So to recap the big picture and just to make sure, I know we're a little bit late and over the time, so I'm talking about the genesis and just my point of view where the education system came from. It has evolved with some of the amazing initiatives that have been taken, but there are two fundamentally different entities. There is a student on one end who is being fed on this social media and all the means and privileges that they have, and then there is educational institutes not really having those tools and technologies which would match them up to a desired objective, what we actually refer to a gap between a curriculum and a job market. Look at these figures, just emphasize on the need for us to have this transformation going. This is the amount of data that is there, something like 4.4 zettabytes of data in 2013, we are looking at something like 44 zettabytes of data in 2023. Zetta is something like billions to the power of trillions. So the figures are not important. It's the pace of this change that is actually staggering. From where we are right now to where we are going to be in just the next 10 years or so. Talking about this change and the need to survive, any guesses from out of the Fortune 500 companies from the class of 1955, how many still exist? So we have approximately 60 to 65 companies that are still there as part of the Fortune 500 list. 89% of them have gone. If you zoom back 50 years or so back, the average life of a company in the Fortune 500 was considered to be 75 years. Now it's less than 15 years, and going forward it's going to be even less than 5 years. The compelling need to change, the need to break the status quo and to get on this bandwagon of the transformation is not an option anymore. It has become a high urgency. And again, and there was a very interesting statement that was made. Robots lack empathy. And while I come all cloaked in technology and I talk about Microsoft and what we have been building in, I think I absolutely agree, and this is the fundamental premise. Nothing can replace the teachers, the impact that you have. Technology is just an enabler to help in terms of empowerment. It could be any of these listed. We would be providing those tools and processes that could help you get to those goals that you have defined for yourself. Again, what I will be providing today would be just a very small glimpse. Small glimpse of what it is, and again, these tools and processes that you see here have been actually devised coming from the feedback in these forums that that's been there. We would be doing again very in-depth workshops tomorrow. So please make sure if you have any query, if you want to get like in-depth assessment, have some conversations going on. That very quickly. So what Microsoft 365 in education is all about. Just less than a year before, our CEO Satya launched M365, what we call Microsoft 365 in education. He described it both as a vision and a product. It was a product because it brings the best of what Microsoft is in this one bundle approach. It has power of Office, Windows, it has what we define as the security, but it was a vision. Because for the first time in the history of Microsoft, all the teams across the product, the marketing, the sales, the solutions, came together to build something which was basically positioned with an objective to unlock this creativity in a student, to promote that collaboration and provide a very, very secure and safe platform. We listened to what I would say the entire stakeholders constituting the education industry. If you look at it, I think the 4 key personas. With regards to a student, what are some of the aspirations? Hearing sirs here in terms of an educator, what is that one inclusive thread of education that you could provide which is not restricted by the boundaries of a place or a media? You have the administrators and facilities, always the ROI and the budgetary constraints. How do you ensure that despite those constraints, despite those security threats, the flow of information is not handicapped? So putting all this together and just a very few kind of quick glimpse in the next couple of minutes, what this Microsoft 365 would be all about is what we put together. So Office, typically, and it has come in lots of the conversations there, when we typically think about the Office, the things like Word, Power, Excel, they come to the mind. And there's been a lot of this impetus around the Office 365. This is now a toolkit for you in as part under Office. All the different icons that you see here are basically your tools and resources which cater to the objectives that were described in the previous slide. So as an educator, if you need to have your teaching done outside the classroom, if you want to reach to the remotest access, how some of the tools here that could be listed, for example, Skype, could enable that. How you could have a creativity from a student being described through a media, what we call Sway. So all these little bit of icons, I'm not going to get into the depth of it, but it caters to a unique requirement that loops back to the previous slide and caters to an all of objectives of the education ecosystem that you saw. Then you have, again, I think in the paucity of time, let me just plant the mood idea, and then absolutely please feel free to explore it in our sessions that we have. These are some of the hero scenarios out there in this toolkit. The 4th one, I just want to pause a little bit. So I talked about this humongous amount of data that's going to be there. And we call data is power, information is power. But only if you're able to not mix the causations and the correlations. Here's a tool for you, Power BI, to be able to synthesize all that huge data into something that is really meaningful. So Office 365 comes in as part one of the pillars. When I talk about the M365, and we're going to have a discussion tomorrow, Office is one of the products underneath it, which would have all these solutions. You have Windows, the Windows 10 as your super secure platform that is available. And you would be able to see some of the functionalities that were missing in all our previous operating systems. This just shows how we have basically overtaken the hackers in terms of coming up with the updates and making sure the nuisance is left to the minimum. The last one, and I think, yeah, this is the last slide. Have you heard about, just with a raise of hands, Kaizala? Okay, great. I see a few of you, but this is synthesizing the power of mobile to do something that really sits across the objectives of the entire education ecosystem. So we are talking in a country where we have crossed 1 billion mobile subscribers using a chat-based interface, and it is available for download on all the platforms. It's AIZALA, very intuitive. It makes sure that different stakeholders that constitute a part of an ecosystem are all connected. We would have a live demo on it. It's an app, and how it could help you solve the various scenarios, like connecting with your fellow institutes, taking care if you're organizing an event, how it all flows flawlessly. This is something that we would be discovering as well as part of the workshops. So essentially, in the 10 minutes or so, I wanted to just give you a glimpse of what we have been thinking about, stitching it all together. There are the tools and the technologies. Basically, having heard from you the input, heard from you the requirements, we have been thinking through. As Microsoft, it's not a set of words when we describe our mission, empowering every education institute, every teacher and student to achieve more. It's not a set of words. Your success gives us our success. We are measured by you. I would strongly again emphasize to please take some time out, be a part of the sessions that we have planned. Our entire education team is here, and you would not find it such an extensive education team out there with any of the other corporates. We have the booth set up out there, which would give you a sense of the intuitiveness of a Surface device and the other device portfolio we have. With this, thank you very much. Yes, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashish. That was quite an eye-opener. And I'm happy to say that recently I got to be trained for Office 365, and we're exploring that further. So it's time now to acknowledge the guests on the dais. May I request the escorts to please carry the floral bouquets and our mementos. I would like to invite, Mr. Manish Kothari, Managing Director, ISBR Bangalore. We do the honors. Mr. M.P. Jaiswal. Dr. M.P. Jaiswal, I am Director. Request Mr. Dhananjay Singh to please come on to the dais. Oh, gracious. Name will also left, so you can do that. Swapnil, please. I would also like to invite Mr. Bhupesh Daheria. So please remain on the dais. I would like to invite Mr. Bhupesh Daheria, founder of Muni. We'll do the honors to Mr. Ashish Gupta. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate your contribution, sir. I would like to inform the August gathering here that we'll soon be starting the panel talks, and the first session is titled Digital and Social Media Interventions and Innovation in Universities, The Journey Ahead. The session is being moderated by Dr. Ravi Kumar Jain, Director, Symbiosis Institute of Business Management, Hyderabad. But for now, we'll take a 10-minute tea break, and we request all of you to be back here in time so that we don't miss out on valuable interactions. Thank you and see you soon.
Sir, we have a live event going shown in this both the QR codes, so anyone who from your institutions are not able to join, you can ask them to just follow these QR codes and you will get the live updates then. Thank you.